Welcome back to Low Country Spotlight. I'm your host, Margie Pizarro. Our third segment I have reserved for a very good friend and colleague of mine. I guess you all know out there that I am actually a lawyer. You know, that's what I do during the day in my real life. One of the reasons I became a lawyer is because I wanted to be able to affect the community in a positive way. I wanted to be able to assist people who had issues in the legal community and who just did not have representation. From time to time, in my general practice, I have to call upon other lawyers and colleagues and friends who can assist me with issues that sometimes are a little bit above my pay grade, if you will. So I've invited one of my really good friends who is a colleague of mine, Jody McKnight, to be on the show with us today. Jody, I want to welcome you to Low Country Spotlight.
Thank you so much, Margie. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, listen, you know, we've worked on a lot of cases together, and we've done a lot of things together. We're friends, and I felt that this would be a wonderful platform to have you to come in and talk to the Low Country a little bit about your practice, what you do, your commitment to the law. So how long have you been practicing in this area?
I was licensed to practice law in 1993. I'm from the Charleston area. I went to the University of South Carolina, and I have been doing various types of litigation ever since 1993, over 22 years now. Yeah. And I have the McKnight Law Firm here in Charleston.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a lot of people, I think, sometimes think of lawyers, and they don't, for some reason, we always seem to catch a bad rap. And I don't know what that is. I know you know, sometimes people say, you know, one bad apple can spoil the bunch. But I know personally from the work that you and I have done on some cases together that there really are good lawyers who are very concerned about what goes on in the community and exacting change. Talk to us a little bit about your philosophy and how your approach is to the law and to a case and how you try to move the ball forward on behalf of your clients.
Sure. In my particular case, I have what I call it like a boutique law firm. I make sure that we structure things so that we really value the relationship between the attorney and the client, that we're not some sort of big commercial operation. We focus on a lot of substance in our firm. We handle very complex situations when necessary. And so each case that we take on, especially our more significant catastrophic cases and things in complex litigation, we end up having a team approach with law clerks and paralegals, and we do standard auto accident and workers' comp injury stuff as well. It's a whole variety, but my philosophy is to maintain that close relationship with each and every one of my clients, so they have my cell phone if they need me.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And tell me how important that is to have that type of close bond with your clients.
Well, it's really important to really understand their story, because ultimately that's my job.
Oh yeah.
Is to portray their story, whether it be at the beginning to an insurance representative, and if we can't agree and we end up in litigation, ultimately if we try the case, to tell that story to a jury. A lot of times I will go to a person's home and I'll spend a day with them and and watch their struggles. I want to know what they go through from the time they get up until the time they go to rest at night. So the relationships is very important.
Right. And I had an opportunity, I know you were involved in some litigation involving a young man who was tragically killed. I know that he had a small child that was left behind, and I saw the video that you all presented to the insurance company, or maybe it was during trial, and I was so moved at the great lengths that you went through to get some relief for that family. So basically you're saying that having that relationship and that one-on-one time with the client, or even with family members if a client is deceased, is something that helps to helps you to move your cases forward.
Yeah. So we start with the relationship. Then I have a relationship, also a professional relationship, with a documentary maker.
Oh yeah.
And in these significant loss cases, I want to make sure that those losses, the families, we put the family on. We'll show videos of what the person is going through in their physical struggles. And then when we're in the process of litigation, if it goes there, or just simply making a demand to the insurance carrier, we'll present a high quality documentary in very serious cases to really so that the story is told effectively.
You know, and I've heard so many people say, even during the course of my litigation and work that I do, when you have an accident case, and maybe it was someone who was a passenger in a vehicle and their friend was driving, and there was an accident and the passenger was injured, and people always say, I don't want to sue my friend, you know, I don't want them to get in any trouble. Is that always, that's not correct. And I have to explain that to people sometimes, and I want you to take a minute and explain that.
Well, sure. First of all, every case that comes in doesn't involve a lawsuit ultimately. You know, we settle a lot of matters through negotiations with the insurance carriers. And so everything, first of all, if the accident happens and you're a passenger in your friend's car, your friend's insurance rates are going to go up anyway.
Okay.
So the fact that you make a claim in that instance, it's not changing anything.
Right.
You're just you're selling yourself short, or your family members. If you take that relationship into consideration in making a claim, you should always make that claim. And if you end up in a lawsuit, it's all, nobody is going after these people's personal money.
Right.
No, it has to do with insurance money. Now, in very catastrophic injury cases, where a person who's at fault does have a lot of personal assets, and we have a tiny bit of insurance, we don't have a choice but to ask that person to contribute to a settlement. It's just unfortunate. And that brings me to, if a person does have assets, they should have adequate insurance, and that includes they should have at least $300,000 liability on their auto, and they should have an umbrella of up to $2 or $3 million to cover them in the event, so that their assets are not exposed.
And we're almost out of time, but I want you to just speak on the fact that, like South Carolina, you know, states have minimum limits of coverage that, you know, people should buy. You know, South Carolina 25, 50, 25. But you're stating that we should always look to get more coverage, just because you never know what can happen.
We should get as much as we can on liability, uninsured motorist coverage, and underinsured. Uninsured is in case somebody hits you and doesn't have any insurance. Underinsured is if somebody's carrying minimum limits of 25 and you end up with 100,000 in medicals. What are you going to do? Your own policy kicks in to take over. And so I say, get as much as you can afford. But if you have assets, get an umbrella policy to cover yourself.
Right, and that's a wonderful piece of advice, and we're going to have to end on that note today. You know, this 30 minutes goes by so quickly. Thank you so much, Jody, and we look forward to having Jody in the studio with us more often. He's going to come periodically and give us updates on the law and things of that nature. You've been watching Low Country Spotlight. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.